Hello. And first things first, Skas, male feminists' ball sacks cannot be empty unless that person is obsessed with wanking. According to the third wave feminists, men cannot be feminists. And if they are claiming to be one, they are only saying it because they want some of that sweet cherry pie.
Come, you masters of war, you that built the big guns, you that built the jet planes, you that build all the bombs, you that hide behind walls, you that hide behind desks. I just want you to know I can see through your masks. You that never done nothing but have built to destroy. You play with my world like it's your little toy. You put a gun in my hands and you hide from my eyes, and you turn around further as the fast bullets fly. Like Judas of old, you lie and deceive. World war can be won, you want me to believe, but I've seen through your eyes, and I've seen through your brain, like I see through the water that runs down the drain. You that fasten all the triggers for the others to fire, and you sit back and watch as the death count gets higher. You hide in your mansions while young people's blood pours out of their bodies and is buried in the mud. You've thrown the worst fear that can never be hurled, fear to bring children into the world, for threatening my baby, unborn and unnamed. Well, you ain't worth the blood that runs in your veins. How much do we know to talk out of turn? You might say that I'm young, you might say I'm unlearned, but there's one thing I know, though I'm younger than you, even Jesus would never forgive what you do. Let me ask you one question. Is your money that good? Will it buy you forgiveness? Do you think that it would? Oh, I think you will find when your debt takes its toll, all the money you made will never buy back a soul. I hope that you die and your death will come soon, and I'll follow your casket on a pale afternoon, and I'll watch as you're lowered down to your deathbed, and I'll stand over your grave to make sure that you're dead.
That wasn't too bad considering that it's been ages since the last time I played that song. And I really have to change the strings on that guitar. Even with new strings it sounds slightly out of tune, and with dead strings even worse. So restrunging it is. Well, but Masters of War, Bob Dylan. Album was Freewheeling, and the year was, I think, 1963. It's still relevant, what, almost 60 years later, if I'm doing my math correctly, we still have a yellow person back in the West who wants to build a wall. And all the old Germans are like, forget it, it didn't work the last time. But with all seriousness, Berlin Wall shouldn't be compared to Trump Wall. No, because back then it wasn't about drugs, crime and illegal immigration. It was about freedom. And in some cases it was about survival. If you are familiar with European history from 1914 to this day, you know that the things were a bit different on the east side of the wall than what they were on the west side of the wall. And well, walls are not the answer. People will always find a way to go over it, under it, around it. Some will make it, some will die while trying. But you can't tame a living being by putting it into a cage. You're just isolating it from yourself. But you can't tame it. You can't put a tiger into a cage and expect that the cage will tame it. No. The cage will only isolate it. And that was kind of a bad metaphor, but still. Walls, restrictions, takeovers, or whatever those are. We go to another country and we say that we'll protect the people on that country by killing them. That works. Okay. Well, of course, if there's no one alive, there's no one to cause any trouble, but yeah, sarcastic once again. But I made a mistake that I watched the news, or browsed through international news channels today, and it's kind of funny that if you look how things were back in the early 60s, very little has changed what comes to nations' relations to one another. Korean War hasn't ended, although it's not active in the kind of action-filled sense of the word, but Korean War is still going on. And it started back in the 1950, I think, and it's still going. And still people are trying to build walls, build barriers, do anything they can to isolate instead of using diplomacy. But what comes to Trump, Americans got what they wanted, because you shouldn't never put a hardcore businessman to that pedestal, what is called the presidency of United States. You don't need a businessman, or you don't want to have a businessman, you want a diplomat. Considering that the United States Army and military forces are kind of big, and they are demanding that other countries will shut down the weapon programs and all that stuff, while Americans are still researching those things, and they don't have to give up anything, but you have to, because you're the dangerous one. Well, weapons don't kill people. People with weapons kill people. That's how I've always said it. I'm not anti-gun. I'm anti-idiots with guns. And obviously accidents always happen, but you can have a car accident. But if that happens with a weapon, it's some kind of a news. Tell something about the carnivore nature of our culture, or at least our news offices, if that makes any sense. But you shouldn't put a hardcore businessman to that status, and you shouldn't let him still use Twitter Because remember what was the first thing that Trump did when he first got elected? He basically declared a war to North Korea. And I was like, this started good. Yay! But, well, bad-mouthing Trump is like kicking a dead horse because we all know what's going on. And now if you have seen the news during the past few days, the US government is in chaos because there's no federal budget because of that goddamn wall. So if you are a leader of a big country and you can't put the people of that country up front, you'll push them back, and you want something that's material, that's not about welfare, it's not about security directly, it's about power and this goddamn macho man attitude. Then I'm getting aggravated, but I'm just the one guy living in north part of the hemisphere, is the right thing? Well, north part of the world, northern half of the world. So what can I do? I can talk about it and I can rant about it on the internet, but that's it. But humanism, that's something we definitely need more to this world. And I've been kind of serious during the last few vlogs, and I do understand why I got that message that you should talk about softer things. But I think it's the age. As I said earlier, I think in one video, I think it's the age. Because I'm almost 40, so I'm kind of mirroring my time on this earth. I'm kind of looking at it through kind of observing eyes. As an outsider observer, I'm trying to look at it. How things have changed, how things haven't changed during my time on this planet. And that's the reason why I'm ranting about things. Because it's kind of hard to realize that there are certain things that should have changed, but they haven't changed for the better. They haven't changed at all, or they haven't changed to anything better. And that's frustrating, but once again, what can I do? I can take care of my own as a individual and as a member of society and as a member of my family and so forth. But there's very little that one person can do. There are ways, but not legal ways, let's put it that way. And sometimes, well, it's obvious that there's not much one guy can do. But at the same time, it's kind of frustrating at times. There's nothing you can do except talking about it, and talking about these things is also kind of oversaturated. Because, well, let's put it this way. Human is basically a gun when it comes to his mouth or her mouth. And when there's someone on higher status that's constantly giving people ammo, and this is a metaphor, it gets pretty boring pretty fast because the oversaturation, everybody are beating the same dead horse. So we'll see what the future brings. I hope something a bit brighter. Yes, same location than yesterday. I'm so innovative. Well, it's dark and I forgot to take my vlogging light contraption with me. So I have to search for light. But if you are one of my Finnish viewers, you might ask, why are you vlogging in English? Why not in Finnish? The simple answer being that I'm working on with few projects currently, and for those I have to use English. So I'm making these vlogs in English in order to get more fluent with the language and get better with the rhythm of English language. And also kind of I'm trying to wake up my vocabulary at the same time. And it's kind of harder, which is funny. It's easier to sing in English than what it is to speak in English. And I think that's because, as a Finn, I mean, that if you're speaking in English, a lot of the vowels are in front of your mouth. While when speaking Finnish, those vowels are further back, almost in your throat. So I think that's where that kind of Finnish accented English comes from. I think, and that's one part of it. Obviously, if you have a strong accent or dialect when speaking Finnish, it gets even weirder when you're speaking English. But that's the reason I want to be able to express myself more fluently and more kind of rhythmically in English. And well, it's always easy to write, for example, song lyrics in English if you use this kind of a let's leaves are red and I am dead. That's easy thing to do. It's easy to write kind of a generic English lyric. But if you want to play with nuances and different flavors, you have to be familiar with the language, obviously. So that's why I'm trying to kind of wake up, trying to get my English into a bit better shape. And I also know there are people around the world who are watching these vlogs kinda when they can. So, and this is something I've missed, believe it or not. Because when I'm speaking in Finnish, I can always ramble. When I'm using English, I have to be more precise. Although I'm rambling when I'm speaking in English, and that's even worse than what it is when I'm rambling in Finnish, because in English it doesn't make too much sense what comes to the sentence structures, if that's the right term, and everything like that. It sounds quite chaotic, but I like it. I like to do things this way because this is the way I originally started on YouTube, making English vlogs, and this channel is a whole lot smaller than my Finnish channel, but which is kind of a blessing, I think, because there are quite a few subscribers, actually quite a lot subscribers on my Finnish channel who are not actually subscribed for my regular content. They are just subscribers so they don't miss the next, you know what kind of video. So it's snowing, and I have to get on the road tomorrow with a scooter, and it's constantly snowing more, so tomorrow will be a fun day. Although I have a good set of winter tires, that's a must on conditions like this. Although I've seen some younger guys with mopeds who have this completely slick tires. There's no friction surface on those tires at all, and then they're going like tail before the front end of the machine. Well, who am I to blame? There was a time when I was one of those guys back in the mid 90s, but things have changed. And I think that's, well, now when I'm older, I can understand why some people are saying that young people were better before the good old days. Because now I'm one of those kind of older people. I'm not old, but I'm older. So it's easy to see that that's not any generation's fault. That's just the circle that goes around. When you're younger, people who are older than you are saying that your generation is reckless. Now when my generation is getting older, we are the ones who are saying that younger generation is reckless or lazy or whatever. It's a cycle. It's not tied to any certain time frame. It's a cycle, or one of those cycles in our society. It's now about 8 o'clock in the evening, and I was browsing through YouTube, and there were some names I wasn't familiar with before, so I decided to check them out. Okay, what are these people? Why are they causing such a big fuss? And I wish I wouldn't done that. My IQ just dropped a bit after watching these videos. Vlogging, when done in a certain way, is the ultimate form of reality TV. I've said that before. So there are everyday things, and those highlights in these certain vlogs are highlights of everyday life. It's not something big, it's something humble in a good way, something small, humble. It can be that your child gets a good number from a test, or good test score or something like that. That can be a highlight, and that's something, yay! But then there is this other side, flip of a coin. YouTube drama channels, that's also kind of a reality TV, because it's based on real people and real events. But the way those channels work is just why? I mean, yes, I do know why, because people want to be I don't know what's the right word actually in English, peeping toms. I mean, they want to be like, I'm not looking, and that's how drama channels work in YouTube, or on YouTube. People basically don't like the way those channels are being run, or how those channels work, but still they have to watch because they want to be that. They want to be that kind of peeping tom from between the fence posts, like, what is going on there? And it's partially envying other people. It's partially trying to drag some people down so you can stand on them. If you catch where I'm going with this. Some people are some people who have started YouTube are small channels, they're trying to drag down bigger channels so they can stand on them. And well, that's part of the human nature, sadly. And it's at the same time it's funny, and at the same time it's very cruciating in a way to see how those channels grow. Those kind of nonsense bullshit channels. I mean, there are channels like Philip DeFranco show, and that channel sometimes goes a bit under the line of good taste, but it still works as a news channel. It's not a drama channel. Well, occasionally we can see some glimpse out from that, or some glimpse of that kind of a YouTube culture, but mostly it's about internet and YouTube news. And then we have Drama Alert and Joy Sparkle. Why I remembered her, I want to forget. But oh, that was a few years ago, but that channel actually still exists. But that was a few years ago when I was following this Joy Sparkle BS versus Onision as an observer. I didn't have anything to say to that thing, but I was an silent observer. And it was hilarious to watch how things escalated. And that's part of this website, sadly. But do we need it? Well, in some form or another, yes. But in a way that these channels that I've watched for the past, I don't know, about 45 minutes, No, we don't need it. Because it's all about backstabbing, it's all about rumors, it's all about let's make drama so we can go forward. Or we can grow our channel, I can get some gratification through slandering other people. Well, and once again, that's not surprising because, as I said, that's part of the human nature. But when you see it on video and when you see it in a way that YouTube presents it, or this certain part of YouTube presents it, I'm starting to think that, well, there are people who have said that what comes to human evolution, coming down from the tree was a mistake. But no, coming out from the ocean was a mistake. But well, if you don't want to see it, don't look. But I kind of have to look and see because I want to know what's going on. And there's this weird relationship between I don't want to know, but still I have to know. But anyways, I think today's video is done. I don't have anything else to ramble or rant about. I think? Maybe? But anyways, until next time. See ya!